He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, Charles Woodson. Good to see you, Charles. How are you?
Good to see you, Rich, man. How are you? I'm doing great.
Right back at you. Look at us. You got the wine behind you. I have right here Woodson Whiskey Team 144 bottle right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. First ever spirit sponsor in history of the storied athletic department. Team 144 that won it all last year. Maizen Blueberry Lemonade and the Michigan Mule are going to be served in the Big House using this. That's correct.
Hey, Rich, that's big time, man. This is the first of its kind at the University of Michigan. You know as well as I do that they don't sell, alcohol in our venues there. And it was just passed last year that they were going to allow alcohol and spirits to be sold within the stadium. And so, I mean, what better way to introduce it than to have, the first and only defensive player to win the Heisman,
that's right.
To be the first spirit sponsor of Michigan athletics. So I'm certainly so proud of being in this position, having the support of my university. A big shout out to my team, Joel, Jay, and Chris for helping to make this thing happen, and everyone at the University of Michigan. I sent a post out earlier. I said, man, this is big time. This is big time, for us to be the first. So extremely proud, man. And, I hope everyone in the stadium who decides that this would be, their spirit of choice, when they're enjoying the game, to think of Woodson Whiskey, but please drink responsibly as well.
I love it. Charles Woodson, excellent message right there. Excellent news. As you could see, Team 144 bottle right here, back on the Rich Eisen Show radio network to the Roku channel audience. Charles Woodson introduced once again. We just showed off Team 144, Woodson Whiskey's Team 144 bottle.
Inspired by the national champions.
Indeed. But, Charles, you didn't win the Heisman Trophy just because you played one side of the ball. You are more than just a one-dimensional person. One-dimensional whiskey maker. It's not just this bottle right here. Wait for it. I have the limit. Wait for it. As they say in the game show world, but wait, there's more. Limited edition 65th anniversary bottle in collaboration with the Raiders. Right there.
Hey, Rich, usually they say, hold my beer. But I'm going to say, hold my whiskey.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Dude, you're killing it. You're killing it.
The official bourbon of the Las Vegas Raiders. We started this partnership last season. And as a part of this season being the 65th anniversary of Raiders football and that commitment to excellence, this is one of the perks of being a partner and being able to come up with these commemorative bottles. And, on that bottle, of course, is that logo, the Raiders logo representing 65, but also throwing up the O. You got to give love to Oakland, where it all started, where I was drafted as a young rookie in 1998. So very proud to have that label and just giving that love, to the city of Oakland, who lost their team to Vegas. But we never forget about where we come from. And so that is an ode to the Oakland Raiders. So, of course, big shout out to the Oakland Raiders, the LA Raiders, and then now the Las Vegas Raiders. So happy 65th anniversary to the Raiders.
WoodsonWhiskey.com to find out where you can get these babies and start drinking responsibly. I got to be honest with you, Charles. Watching the first half of Michigan Fresno State, I was thinking of drinking somewhat irresponsibly, and I reached for my Intercept wine. But these things, take time.
Hey, great plug, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Listen, come on. There may be an I in Rich Eisen, but I'm a team player when it comes to you. So, what was your impression of Michigan's season opener, Charles?
Honestly, I would say, Rich, about what I expected. I think coming into this season, man, losing, the type of players that we lost this particular year, being that we had I think 16 guys that went on, to the next level. Losing your starting quarterback, who was 27-1, I believe, throughout his career. Corum has the most touchdowns. Talk about that offensive line that played last year. We lost a lot. You lost your head coach. You lost both coordinators. I mean, I don't know how it was supposed to look after all that. I know that this team is going to be well coached. Sharon and the assistant coaches on Michigan will get this team rolling, but it's hard to imagine that everything was going to come out and roll smoothly. You had a quarterback in Warren who came out, who had his ups and downs throughout the game. Threw a pick, had a guy who probably could have hit it down the field for a touchdown, threw it a little short. So he's going to have to go through his growing pains as a quarterback. The running game, which, we've always relied on at the University of Michigan, was not there. You kind of got things going a little bit late in the game. But, I mean, I think this is to be expected, from this team, having so many guys that they have to replace. So I'm hoping that, guys like Donovan Edwards, who's a, veteran on that team, Will Johnson, who made a big play at the end of the game, can, get these guys, each and every day as veterans of the team ready to play and, do better down the stretch.
So then moving on to the Raiders, what's your expectation level for the Vegas Raiders this year, Charles?
Man, it's, the quarterback situation is one where, you have the quarterback battle, and Minshew is the guy who's going to be the guy at the helm for the Raiders. So I feel like, like most teams, man, you got to get the most out of that position. And so I'm hoping that he can go out there and be consistent, from start to finish if he's the guy the whole season. Lean on the running game, of course. Get the ball to your playmakers like Devontae Adams. We got the young kid, of course, out of Georgia, the tight end, who I think is going to be a big weapon for us, and also Mayer, the tight end last year. So being able to run some two tight end sets. So this offense, I'm hoping to get going. But for me, the defense with Max Crosby, I think is a guy, that's going to have to, they got to set the tone. I think the defense has to set the tone. So for me, I think for every team, you got to see how it looks early on, just to kind of see, how it's going to play out. So I'm looking for big things. Of course, I'm hoping for big things, but things for the Raiders, man, you know how it is, man. It's been a rough go for us over the years. So I'm hoping we can bring back a little bit of that swagger that we ended the season with last year.
Well, Antonio Pierce, it's wild that what got him the gig, the way they finished, beating Kansas City in Arrowhead on Christmas Day, the last team to beat Kansas City as of this conversation, also caused them to fall a little bit too far in the draft to get a quarterback. I guess it's a little bit of good and bad. I love the addition of Christian Wilkins to that defensive line, and him and Max Crosby can do some serious damage. But are you have any contact with Coach Pierce? Talk to him and figure out what his philosophy is going to be as an HC full time now, Charles?
Well, first, I don't know if I'm happy about the win at the end of the season against the Chiefs, because let them tell it. That's kind of the thing that woke them up late in the season, and then they went on, to win the Super Bowl again. But with Antonio Pierce, I think what he brings to the table, is a guy that kind of was groomed in that Raiders tough, physical tradition, that is the old Raiders. He grew up watching this team, and he knows the players that were a part of the team, and he grew up understanding what it meant to be a Raider and what it meant to what it meant to wear the silver and black. And so I think that he brings that tough-minded, physical, hard-nosed mentality to the rest of the team, and I think all of those guys pick up on it. If you're around, Antonio Pierce, he's a no-nonsense type of guy, but also a guy who's been in the locker room, so he understands the game, understands the needs of the players. So he's gonna be on those guys tough. He's gonna coach them hard, but then also understands, the toll that the game takes on you as a player, and being able to understand what those guys need at the right times throughout the season. So I think he'll have the right approach. I think he's got the right approach right now. He had a tough decision to make. Do you go with a young quarterback, that you drafted, or do you go with Gardner Minshew? So, you know that he's willing to go out there and make the tough decisions as a coach. But I just think that, his intensity and the way that he's going to coach these guys, man, will get the best out of them.
A few minutes left with Charles Woodson, Pro Football Hall of Famer, all-time great. from the University of Michigan as well. Woodson Whiskey is on fire with a Team 144 bottle and a Raiders limited edition 65 anniversary bottle. Go to woodsonwhiskey.com to find out. So how do the Chiefs not three-peat, Charles? I mean, how about me just phrasing it that way?
Yeah,
Walk me through it here.
They could be, they would have to be their own worst enemy, because I feel like every year, you look at a couple of years ago, they lose, Tyreek Hill, and then it seemed like, they don't miss a beat, right? They go out and win the Super Bowl. Last year, it seemed like they were kind of, hitting the wall a little bit towards the end of the season. And then I mentioned, the Raiders go there and beat them, and then all of a sudden they woke them up and lit a fire up under them. And then they went to Baltimore and took care of business in Baltimore, and then they go on, to win the Super Bowl. Looking at the draft, this is a team that likes to get down the field, and then there they have another guy like a Tyreek Hill that can stretch the field, get down the field and terrorize defenses down the field, which helps Patrick Mahomes show off the arm that he has. So it seems like this team every year they lose an element of their team, and then they just reload it with someone else who comes in and can contribute right away. So the only way that this team, I feel, gets derailed is if they get complacent as a team, or injuries, which could happen to any team. I think that's probably the only two things that knocks these guys off, because as long as 15 is back there, Travis Kelce is still in the game, Chris Jones is there on the defense, this team is going to be right back in the mix.
So your Super Bowl prediction would be what? Give it to me. What do you got?
Yeah, it's hard for me to knock the Chiefs off the mantle, so I'm going to say they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. And then I'm going to go with my old team. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. Really like what they did in the offseason. I love the fact of, I hate that Jacobs went from, the Raiders, had to leave the Raiders to go to another team, but he went to another one of my old teams in the Packers. And then, bringing a guy on the defensive side of the ball like Xavier McKinney, a ball hawk, he's a young guy, but still a veteran, as far as I'm concerned, been in the league for a couple of years. So having additions like that, I feel like the growth of Jordan Love, I feel like you have a young guy at the quarterback who, gets to grow up with his younger receivers. A-Rod, older guy, probably didn't have the type of relationships, with those young guys that you would like to have between your quarterback and receivers. But you think about Jordan Love, a young guy, who does he hang out with? He hangs out with the other young guys. So these guys now feel like the weapons that he has, at the receiver position reminds me of when I played there, when we had a Greg Jennings, a Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, and Jermichael Finley. Like, we had, weapons, all over the place. And I feel like he has that now. I feel like the Packers always do really well in terms of bringing in young, talented receivers. So I'm going to go with a young Packers team that's hungry, that last year had a real shot, at making it, getting to the Super Bowl and getting and having a shot at winning it again. So I'm going to go Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers.
And then who wins it? Got to give me a winner. Come on.
Well, I got to go with the Pack. I mean, if I got one of my teams in the show.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I got to go with that team. Yeah.
Well, the Packers getting to the Super Bowl over the Lions or the Eagles or the Cowboys or the 49ers or any of the other teams that made the playoffs last year would be kind of surprising. And then for them to be the ones to stand in the way of the Chiefs, that would make you, one of one, I imagine, outside of Cheesehead Nation.
That would. But I'm all about being first.
Okay. All right. I know that.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right. We would have beaten Nebraska, right, if we played them back in the day?
100%. We
What do you expect him to say?
We would have shut down that option, and the passing game would have been null and void, because we'd have been all over that passing game. So we would have shut it down.
That's exactly right. Chris, he knows his football.
Actually, they would have got us, Rich. You know what I mean?
Pipe this guy down. Syracuse gets one win, and all of a sudden he's so excited.
Thanks for admitting that. Yeah, we would have got you.
You could have gotten it. I'll be honest. I'm a little nervous for next week with Texas. Are you going? Are you going to be there?
I'll be there. I'll be there with Big Noon Kickoff.
That's right.
I believe we got a 3-hour show, so we're there for the long haul and look forward to an electric crowd. You got two big brands going against each other. Michigan, of course, they won the game. It was a little rocky, at first, but we got the win we needed. Texas, they looked good.
Sure did.
They came out, especially that opening drive. I think they're kind of where we were last year. Got a bunch of guys that are back, and offensively they looked on schedule. Opening drive, I think a turnover to the second drive, but then the third drive it was right back down the field. So absolutely, going to be a tough matchup for us, and I look forward to Michigan, Texas on Saturday.
All right, I look forward to seeing you there. I'll be watching in advance of that game. And Charles, congrats on everything going on here with Woodson Whiskey. Got Team 144 bottle, the limited edition 65th anniversary bottle of the Raiders. Love flying American Airlines and choosing the Intercept wine, by the way. At 40,000 feet, it goes down well. By the way, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Nice glass. Right there. Very good.
Go Blue.
Right back at you. Go Blue. Thanks again, Charles. You be
Cheers,
well.
Rich.
Right back at you.
Thank you, guys.
The great Charles Woodson. Check him out on Fox, and then obviously check out his spirits, WoodsonWhiskey.com. There we go. Charles Woodson, everybody.
Nice.
We got there the pride of Lake Nona.
Yeah, shout out to my Lake Nona Lions, man. I'm helping coach my son's high school team, man. So I got to give him a shout out, man. Lake Nona Lions, baby.
Okay. Are you calling anybody into your office like Lloyd Carr called you into his back in the day? Anybody been called in your office, Charles?
I've been close. Rich. I've been close.
You call call somebody's mother on them like he called yours, right? Back in the day? I love that story. That's one of my favorites.
No, I can see it happening.
Isn't it amazing?
The kids these days, I think they might be a little worse than me, Rich. So I may be calling some parents sometime soon.
Full circle stuff. That's Charles Woodson, everybody, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.